What's up guys, SuperSaf here, and we finally got the Sony Xperia 1 Mark III in the house. Thumbs up for your boy would be appreciated. This device offers a lot of world firsts, and so many of you guys have been asking to get this in. So let's go ahead, get it unboxed and see what it has to offer. So the unboxing experience is pretty straightforward. Inside the box, we've got the device. There's a little bit of paperwork, a USB Type-C to USB Type-C cable, and a 30-watt fast charger included out of the box, which is definitely considered a bonus these days. And here it is. So we've got a frosted glass finish at the back. This is the frosted black. There's also a frosted purple version available. I definitely do like that. It's not really going to attract many fingerprints. And we've also got a metal frame that also has this matte finish, which I do like. And moving over to the front is where we've got the first. This is the world's first 4K HDR 120 Hz display on a smartphone. It looks really, really good. Now this means that things are not only going to be very, very sharp, the sharpest on pretty much any smartphone out there, but they're also going to be very smooth with that high refresh rate. Now my complaint last year was that I would have liked to have had a high refresh rate compared to a high resolution, but this year we've got both. Now one slight downside which I have noticed compared to some of the other competition is that this does not get as bright outdoors. Now it's kind of understandable because you are pushing 4K resolution at 120 Hz, so there's going to be a bit of a compromise somewhere. I'm not sure of the exact peak brightness. Now, the screen size of this is 6.5 inches. We do have OLED technology, and we've got Sony's traditional 21:9 aspect ratio, which is quite a bit different compared to the others. One thing that I really do like about this aspect ratio is that it's so much more comfortable to use in one hand compared to some of the other smartphones, such as the iPhone 12 Pro Max, which is very wide. So you can see here that I can easily reach to the side on the Xperia 1 Mark III, but I can't do that on the iPhone 12 Pro Max. And it's a similar situation with the Samsung Galaxy S21 Ultra. Now we don't have any interruptions on the display. There's no notch, no punch out. We just have small bezels on the top and bottom, which I personally don't mind at all. And that's because we have front-firing stereo speakers. These are actually 40% louder compared to the previous model. And we have another world's first. This is the world's first smartphone to reproduce 360 reality audio in the speakers. They of course sound absolutely great, and guess what? We also have a 3.5mm headphone jack here at the top, something that is very, very rare these days. And on the left-hand side, we have something else that's very rare these days, and that is a microSD card slot, so you can expand the storage on the Sony Xperia 1 Mark III. There's also space here for a SIM card. You can have two SIM cards active at the same time, but if you do have two SIM cards, you're not going to be able to use the micro SD card. At the bottom, there is a USB Type-C port, and we've got a bunch of buttons on the right-hand side. So there's the volume rocker initially. There's a power button, which doubles up as a fingerprint scanner. Pretty fast. There's a dedicated Google Assistant button, which you can press to activate, and it's actually doing it right now. Let me cancel that. As well as a dedicated shutter button, which is really nice. It's got a texture to it, so if you are going to be shooting photos with this, it's going to be nice to have that physical button there. Just a quick reminder, if you're enjoying the video so far, then do consider subscribing to the channel. There's lots more content like this coming up. Now let's move over to the camera. So we've got a triple 12-megapixel rear-facing camera setup, but this is quite different and interesting. So initially we do have a 12-megapixel ultra-wide camera. This will give you the equivalent of around 16mm of focal length. Then we've got the primary camera, which will give you the equivalent of around 24mm. And then we've got another world's first. So this is the world's first smartphone with a variable telephoto lens paired with a dual PD sensor. What does that mean? Well, the telephoto camera actually has two focal lengths. We've got around 70mm as well as around 105mm. Now, traditionally on other smartphones, we have two separate cameras for this, but on the Xperia 1 Mark III, this is happening on the same camera, and it's actually the lens that's adjusting between these two focal lengths. Now, unfortunately, you can't kind of do like 90mm. That's going to be digital in between, but it's going to switch between 70mm and 105mm, which is pretty awesome. It means that they can use the same sensor and you can have a better sensor for that rather than having an additional inferior sensor. So this is really cool. And we also have real-time iAF for humans and animals with real-time tracking and fast, accurate, continuous autofocus across all lenses. Now this is something that Sony's absolutely awesome at. I'm currently using a Sony camera to film this video as well. Autofocus is absolutely great on Sony cameras. And we've also got the 20 frames a second burst mode. Now this is great if you want to capture some fast moving subjects, maybe some sports, pets, or kids who never stay still. That's going to be awesome. You can get 20 frames in a burst in 1 second. And I believe Sony Xperia smartphones are the only smartphones that can do this. Now we of course have Sony's Pro apps built in. So we've got Photography Pro as well as Cinema Pro. These will give you lots of control over all of your settings, something that I really do like about Sony smartphones. Now I know a lot of you guys are going to be saying, can you do a SuperSaf style camera comparison of the Xperia 1 Mark III versus the competition? Let me know in the comments which smartphone you'd like me to compare this to. It's always difficult comparing Sony Xperia smartphones to the others because this is an enthusiast smartphone. And there's a lot of features that we have on traditional smartphones, such as night mode, which the Xperia 1 Mark III does not have. Sony really want to go for more of a natural look, which is all fair and good. But personally speaking, I would like to have options such as night mode. Because sure, if you don't want to use it, you can just have it switched off. But certain situations, you might want to use it. So I don't know, that's just me. And that brings us on to the front-facing camera. So the front-facing camera is still 8 megapixels and it can only film at 1080p HD. Yeah. Now I know Xperia fanboys are going to get mad at me, but honestly speaking, in 2021, for a device that's priced at what this is priced at, we'll look at that later, I really think you do need 4K from the front-facing camera. Sure, not everybody takes selfies, but a lot of people are creating lots of content in portrait format using the front-facing camera. And a lot of times, you know, you want to crop in, maybe you want to recompose, and you can do that with 4K. You can't do that with 1080p. And not having 4K for the front-facing camera here is definitely a big disappointment for me. Right, now internally, this is powered by the flagship Qualcomm Snapdragon 888 5G chipset. You've got 12 gigabytes of RAM with either 256 gigabytes or 512 gigabytes of storage. But remember, you can expand that with that micro SD card slot. For the software, you do have Android 11 with Sony's skin on top. This does give you some additional features such as side sense. So you can just tap here twice on the side and you can customize these menus as well. And for the battery, we do have a 4,500 milliamp hour battery, which I'm not sure how it's going to perform with that 4K 120 Hz display. We'll see. I'll be testing that out. But remember, you do get that 30-watt charger included out of the box. That will get you from 0 to 50% in around 30 minutes. So not the fastest charging out there, but again, it does come included out of the box, which is really good. And you do have Qi wireless charging supported. However, I'm not sure what the speed of this is. I'm assuming it's just the base speed because this has not been advertised. Right, now what about pricing and availability? So this will be available from the 19th of August. So we've still got some time left for this. And it's going to be priced at £1,199 in the UK. I believe it's going to be $1,300 in the US. Now that is pretty pricey because it puts it above the competition, something like the S21 Ultra and the iPhone 12 Pro Max. But you are getting a lot of these enthusiast features, which you're not going to be finding anywhere else. Also, I believe there is an introductory offer. So if you do get this pre-ordered, you will get the Sony WH-1000 XM3 headphones included. Now those retail for around £329. So if you do consider that as a package, then it is pretty reasonable. What do you guys think of the Sony Xperia 1 Mark III? Definitely let me know in the comments below. Also let me know if there's any further coverage you'd like me to do with this. I hope you enjoyed this video and found it useful. If you did, then do smash that like button. And if you haven't already, then be sure to subscribe and hit that bell icon so you don't miss any future coverage. Thanks for watching. This is Saf on SuperSaf TV, and I'll see you next time.